Hello and good evening. Welcome to the No Exit podcast. But this evening, we have a different starting time. We're more or less 5 p.m. We're a little bit late. But I'm Jason. Sitting here next to me is Vanessa. We got Richard, Tony the truck driver, and Wayne, and Tom, and Sal on the camera from his residence, and Tom engineering. So to celebrate our starting at 5 p.m. 1700 military time, there's a poem here that's Garcia Lorca's poem, which is in the same vein as Sartre, who said 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock is always too early or too late for anything you want to do. Well, here's this poem, and it's in my style, but I couldn't write it this well, so it's not mine. So, at 5 in the afternoon, there was death and only death. At 5 o'clock, the dove and the leopard fought. At 5 o'clock, the bass strings began to thrum. At 5 o'clock, on the corners gathered crowds of silence. At 5 o'clock, the bull stared beneath his brow. At 5 o'clock, the room was a death rainbow. At 5 o'clock, the mob broke the windows. At 5 o'clock, that terrible was on all the clocks. I don't want to look. My memory is burning. Tell the jasmine flowers so small and so white, I don't want to look. Don't tell me to look. I won't watch the thirsting crowd.
All right, we got to start over. I do not know what I'm going to do with this and what's where, and it's going to be a disaster. So Tom's got to tell me what buttons do what.
See, I told you couldn't do it.
I can do it if I'm told. I didn't know I was getting it.
Can't never could do anything.
And so you've just taken 2 minutes of my life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll never get those 2 minutes back.
Let me go through this and make sure I know what's going on here.
Well, you already don't know.
Where's the multi? That's the multi. Okay. Now, if we want the pictures, I go to where? Topic card. That's topic card. Okay.
Right.
And now, if I want the images,
You see this?
and then this goes. Does this go through
no,
them?
See, that's the next image in the.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Now that I know what the hell is what, yeah, we can do it.
So do we have to start over?
We should.
Operator error.
What happened?
Richard gave me the switchy box, and I didn't know what all the buttons meant, and I had to clarify that so it wasn't.
Richard was gonna do it.
I thought he was, but now I'm doing it. That was a miscommunication, and that's what caused that.
That was an uncommunication.
Yeah, it was.
Incommunicado.
At least we didn't do a whole show like sometimes we do with no audio and just video. Oh God, that's happened before. Hey Tom, the audio is actually going out, right?
Should be.
Okay.
Glad you said that.
Yeah, we gotta make sure that's happening.
I'll check it before we go on the. When we first go on the air, there's a way to check to make sure it's going out.
On the air.
Okay.
Okay, so
All right. Quiet. What happened? The buttons.
Vanessa's messing with the buttons.
Why are you messing with buttons?
because she does that. Hello and good evening. Welcome to the No Exit podcast. I'm Jason, but this evening we're starting a little bit differently. We're starting earlier at 5. This will be the new starting time. With me to my left is Vanessa. We have Richard. We have Tony, the truck driver. We got Wayne and Sal at home in his residence. And Tom, engineering, behind the... Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
What happened?
It's going over the air.
Okay. So I have a poem to read for 5 p.m., which is in the same vein as Sartre's statement about 3 o'clock, because 3 o'clock is always too early or too late for anything you want to do.
That's the witching hour.
No. And when you think about it, it really makes sense, because it's not the witching hour.
I say it is.
No, it's too early or too late for anything you want to do. The witching hour is when you want to do something, not do it. So you totally missed the point. But that's not the first time, so you're good
like
at
the
it.
split screen. This is really nice. Look at that. That's professional.
Okay, so can I read the poem now without you interrupting me?
you can
please?
try.
Please.
Okay.
Okay, so in celebration of 5 p.m., there's a poem by Garcia Lorca, which is the 5 o'clock time. So everybody listen up. And at 5 in the afternoon, there was death and only death. At 5 o'clock, the dove and the leopard fought. At 5 o'clock, the bass strings began to thrum. At 5 o'clock, on the corners gathered crowds of silence. At 5 o'clock, the bull stared beneath his brow. At 5 o'clock, the room was a death rainbow. At 5 o'clock, the mob broke the windows. At 5 o'clock, the terrible was on all the clocks. I don't want to look. My memory is burning. Tell the jasmine flowers so small and so white. I don't want to look. Don't tell me to look. I won't watch the thirsting crowd who shouts at me to look. Don't tell me to look. I sing with weeping words, and I remember a sad wind among the trees. Wow, that's dim, but that underscores what we're doing. But that's dark. So,
many of our listeners are probably dim too.
Especially the one sitting to my left.
Yeah,
Who's that?
Okay, so
I'm dyslexic. I can't tell direction.
You can't tell from the video, I know that.
So, what is Vanessa? Let's talk about the default.
Oh, the default.
You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Well, you know how in society something happens, and most really dumb people, we will call them normies or automatons, think that there is one standard way to deal with or address that thing, and they don't consider the special circumstances that may be possible within that thing. Like an event happens, and they go right to the default. The default response without thinking, which is what they've been taught should be what they do, but not necessarily is what they should do.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Well, think about this societally. I've been thinking a lot about how the default is masculinity and the other is femininity. Even this is going to come up later, especially with like fashion. The default is trousers or jeans or T-shirts. The default isn't dresses and makeup. The default is always, things are always going back to the masculine. And when you go out in a mixed group of people, if it's both male and female, you often get called you guys, and it's the default is masculinity in the society.
So are you calling that a microaggression?
I don't know if it's a microaggression, it just is, and it's a vestige of the patriarchy, which I don't really like.
But it's not said with any intent to abuse or
No, it's not,
insult.
but it's still the default. Like if a group of men and women walk into a place, people don't say, "Hey, gals, what's up?" Like, but if you have a mixed group of female and male people, they say, "You guys, how are you guys doing?" You notice that that's the default. The default is the masculine.
But you know, when I go to Morton's and I order a steak, you know what I get? I get a steak, because that's what I've experienced. I mean, that's A to B. That what you call the default. We do the thing. We are the things we repetitively do. So that's why we have standards. That's why if you go to a cardiologist in Seattle or Miami, they're going to do the same thing. So I don't think the default is completely bad. To tip the apple cart just because you want to accomplishes nothing or little, and it's only local.
Well, Jason, suppose I said to you, I have a friend who's a doctor, and you replied, what is his name?
That's true.
See, you went to the default.
I would say their name, because that's just it. That 60% of starting medical students this year are female. So, but also that's the big thing in anesthesia, talking about the mommy track, because anesthesia, like emergency medicine, is a modular job. You know, you can just go in for the day. And about women working 3 days a week instead of 5, so they could raise children, etc. And it's looked at, the hyper-masculine docs, like the ortho guys, look down on that, because if you're not a caveman like them, if it's not might makes right, then they don't want to listen. That's, of course, a broad statement, but you'll find even the women in ortho are former athletes. I mean, there was one at Duke that was a former Olympian. I think she played tennis. And there was another one that was a state-ranked cross-country runner. So that everybody are high achievers, you know, especially in ortho. And what they say in ortho is taking the smartest students and make them into the dumbest doctors. And so if you're saying pediatricians, you might say her. But, you know, I understand that point, but do we got to use gender-neutral pronouns all the time now for everything?
Well, why is the default always the masculine?
Inertia. I mean, you could change things, and that's admirable that you try, although I don't know how successful it'll be. That the medium is the message. So if you're shouting at people to do it, they're much less likely to comply. So what about let's change tack now because you had 4 more minutes on that than I wanted.
It's nice to want.
Vanessa, tell us about everyone has issues and it affects their objective reality.
Well, if you're thinking about people, the way they perceive anything, they approach any issue or anything going on in their life, it's because they have previous issues. They have things in their mind. They have fucked up stuff going on. Everybody does, and it taints your worldview. Therefore, the way anyone reacts to anything ever is tainted by the issues which they themselves have. Therefore, there can never be a true objective reality when dealing with humans.
Would you like an example?
Yeah, because that sounds like a lot of bluster to me. That's
Well, this is from John Updike.
So I agree that there's degrees of lack of objectivity. I think we have the capability of knowing the difference between true and false, but we can numb ourselves to the differences.
How do you
and
discern the true and false? You can't do it. You have issues.
only God can.
That supposes that concept really exists, but there's no proof of that concept existing. Henceforth, you have issues with things like religion and God, and that's tainting your worldview right now with that answer. That's proof right there.
That's like the generic response I got from AI. So really, we're on different parts of this.
how do you spell that?
AI.
Richard, you were going to say something about John Updike. Please
Okay.
share.
So he wrote a short story. He came home from work. His wife was in tears. She said, "You're not going to believe what happened. I took a nap and I put our baby beside us, and I was so tired I rolled over on top of the baby and the baby died." He said, "Okay." He said, called up the undertaker. "Can I bring the baby over?" "Yes." So he wrapped the baby in a group of newspapers, right? Because he didn't want the neighbors to see him taking a dead baby out. And he put it on a seat beside him, and he drove to the undertaker. He got to the undertaker, and he unwrapped the newspaper, and he said, "Here's what happened. Will you take care of this?" And the undertaker said yes. Well, when he unwrapped the newspaper, the headline on the newspaper was, "Willie Mays hits 3 home runs in 1 game." He looks at that, and he takes the newspaper, crumples it up, puts it in his pocket, drives home. From that day forward, every time that guy was watching TV and Willie Mays came on, he changed the channel. If you mentioned it in a conversation, I don't want to talk about it. So his issue affected the way he looked at reality.
It always does.
If I might say something, perhaps the what seems to be an overwhelming concentration on individualism, individuality, and ID and everything. Maybe it's a bid to try and swerve us away from the mob and sheep mentality, which we have fallen prey to ever since the end of World War II, when America collectively got a big head and we basically became over and over corporate and not county, was it but became corporate and faceless. It's an attempt to avoid the continuation of being a pagan profile, or to be piece A in slot B and nothing else. In other words, an attempt to keep our souls from being slaughtered.
There's always been people that want to be followers, that they don't have the leadership gene or ability. And so they're okay with being led. And demeaning them by calling them sheep or sheeple, not everybody can create anything. I mean, like I said, this poem is in my style, but I couldn't write that. I can't draw. I can't paint. I don't know if I have a novel in me. I have pieces of one, but not anything you can put together in a cohesive set. So I allow others to do it. And it's not so much a big head or sheep as the U.S. was agrarian until the Industrial Revolution. Then it was industrial, and now we've moved into an administrative That's what it is. I mean, people live in air conditioning in their car, go to work, they're in air conditioning, they get in their car, air conditioning, home, air conditioning. They're never exposed to the environment, and that's part of what's going on. I don't know what the step after administrative is, unless it's just sitting on your fat ass eating candy.
I think it's failure because of that. I was listening to a show and they were talking about how generally most empires last about 200 years and they go through different stages. We realized that we wanted to be free. We decided we were going to fight for liberty, and then we went through a lot of different situations. But the bottom line is we live in an opulent society where people enjoy comfort more than values. And because of that, there's going to be a failure somehow.
Well, it's like the extreme example is communism, because the only place that communism has been shown to work is in the Buddhist monastery and in a beehive, because bees just, they'll sacrifice themselves. You won't get anybody to sacrifice themselves, because why should Richard work harder because I won't work? Everybody has to work for the collective good. And what if somebody doesn't have that altruism in them? What if they can't say, you know what, I'm going to, 40 hours this week, I'm going to put 26 hours to give away and then only 14 for myself. So that's an extreme example. But
that doesn't deal with what we're talking about. The problem is that we live in an opulent society where we're going to end up all eating bonbons and wasting time, and it's going to lead to our failure because we were able to have this because of the hard work of the people before us, but now we're not being responsible with what we're given. So how are we going to reverse that?
Richard.
So Sal said something about over the course of history, empires, they grow big and then they deteriorate. So, you look at British Empire, Roman Empire, Austro-Hungarian Empire, right? All these empires, they all did something very similar when they were starting to collapse. And can you guess what that is?
They basically divided. They started blaming each other.
They closed off their borders and said, we're getting too much immigration. Not interested? The Romans did that. The British did that. All these other empires. They said,
now we're doing it.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
We seem to
What
have
does
done it
that
from the
say about
beginning.
the U.S.?
Well, the opposite of that
It's in decline,
is
obviously.
China. Anywhere China has gone, they've made it Chinese. I mean, they have eliminated the native culture
Ideologies.
and made them Chinese. And so that's what the fear is. That's the other side of that same coin. Instead of closing the borders, we just go, we make Vietnam the 51st state and Canada the 52nd state, and what do? But the idea, it's simplistic, and the difference between, I'm going to get political, of Dumb Donnie and the others, he's old. And so I don't know how much longer he has. Although, as Billy Joel said, only the good die young, so he'll live for friggin' ever. And
He's going to be
Bible does
preserved.
that.
He's going to be preserved by the Big Mac chemistry and the Diet Coke chemistry.
Trouble is, though, even if he died like this second, he's a cancer cell, and he's already spread the cancer cell to everybody else.
But nobody has his Riz. He even said that it's not his own son, not Vance. J.D. Vance is
He's the eyeliner queen.
What?
He's the eyeliner queen.
Yeah, and that's why that nobody has the empire to get it. And I don't know if you've ever been around a dust devil or a tornado. When it dissipates, it's just gone, and it's a sunny day. You're like, where the hell did tornado go? And that's what it's like with Dumb Donnie. He just says shit off the cuff that everybody's scrambling to fix, and he will piss off everybody. It's like I'd say, like I would say, Richard, you suck.
I hope he gets the ultra rich upside.
Well, and because what people have to do is have some guts and just say something anti-Trump, because he can only torch 5 or 6 people, and then he'll get tired of it. Because Tillis was one. And then he ripped into Chuck Grassley. Everybody in the Senate loves Chuck Grassley. They love him. He's just a good guy. Whether you agree with his politics or not, he's just a good dude. And Trump shit all over him. And that's what he does. He just doesn't care. He doesn't care about what he's doing. And so that's what you do. Just several of them just torch him and let him, because people are all afraid of a bad tweet.
Yeah.
And so, like our Nicholas Unworthy, who's never had a real job, my Congressman Langworthy, that they part and parcel follow this crap, MAGA. And now when you have to wear a hat that says Trump was right and you're Trump, if you have to tell people you were right, well, it should be ipso facto that res ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself, and I don't think so. Just
We're
because
not there yet. We won't know for at least another year and a half.
I don't think it's that long. I think it'll be shorter. I mean, it could be quarterly even.
Well, I know that we're headed towards a housing market collapse, and I mean, there's just so many things that have the potential to go wrong. There's a lot of problems with our country right now.
Okay. Well, let's say, what about this, Vanessa? Tell me about this Good Genes ad.
Oh, yeah. The hot controversy topic right now is this ad for American Eagle. It's a...
Put the picture up.
Yeah, it's a jeans company. Let's put it up. There we go. Wrong one. There it is. Sydney Sweeney has great genes, and they're saying that it's a double meaning, alluding to like white supremacy, genes, Genes, and people are getting upset because she's a Caucasian blonde American.
I like the point of view her hand's at.
So, people are getting all upset about that. So, Gap, seizing on the opportunity, has created their own campaign using they call it an international pop group, but it gets lumped in with K-pop called Cat's Eye, and there's women from actually America, Sweden, and various Asian countries in
Who's
this
the
group.
Swede? There's not a blonde there.
One of them is part Swedish.
Yeah, and even the biggest one is maybe a size 4. I mean, that's not representative.
But racially, you can say it is representative because, it's not your typical Caucasian, blonde-haired, blue-eyed American, and that's their answer to that. And to that, I say that this is representative of America's decline. Not only is America declining politically, how can you export MAGA to the rest of the world? They want fun pop culture. They want things that are more open-minded. That's just the nature of reality. And so this represents America's pop culture decline too. Korea and Asia are really stepping up the game, and they're making inroads. They're going to be the culturally dominant pop culture soon. America's losing it. What the heck do we have? We have like horrible new country stars. Nobody really.
Wait, that's country?
No, that's not country.
Well, but also in Japan, you can get used panties in a vending machine. So
Well-
they're all sexually repressed.
you can get those
I'm
on
sorry, what?
eBay, but they have to say that they're washed per eBay standards.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't know about you can buy used underwear? My friend, the Bishop of Riverside, used to sell his used drawers to gay men on eBay, but you had to
Okay.
put that was code for that they were worn and soiled because people get off on like sniffing them.
Yeah.
So like you have to put laundered per eBay specifications, which means they really aren't.
We'll move on. What about the woman on the red car seat? Put up the picture.
Okay. The woman in the red car seat, that's like I think that's that's combat to Sydney Sweeney. That's Lisa Montalban. Many people say.
Oh, that's not Taylor Swift?
No, that's Lisa Montalban from Blackpink. Many people say she's the most beautiful woman in the world right now in pop
That looks like
culture.
Taylor Swift.
Sort of, yeah. She has a similar
Haircut and
haircut,
face.
Yeah. But that's currently the pop culture it girl in the world.
Never heard of
And
her.
You've never heard of Lisa Montalban?
Nope.
Well, she's huge. Well, so
doesn't look huge.
that's a difference between the American culture of Sydney Sweeney and the Asian culture taking over pop culture right now, and I predict that's going to happen.
So do you agree Lisa Montauban is the most beautiful woman in the world?
I don't know. In terms of pop culture, I think she's way up there. Yeah.
How about you, Jason?
I could find 10 different women that I would say are all the most beautiful women, but they won't even look anything alike. I mean, that's really. Do you know what's one of the biggest determinants of what we consider beauty? Symmetry.
Yeah.
If you have an unequal face, you know that if you're all the time like that, or like Popeye, or you have a droopy mouth, that's not as attractive. It's people that have symmetrical features are the one, and we don't even know why. We just know when we look at it,
are
like
all
Potter Stewart.
individuals.
I can't tell you, but I know it when I see it. You know, he was talking about porn, but it's about symmetry is the real thing.
So I find it like actually quite telling that Gap is going more with a K-pop group to combat Sydney Sweeney, who appeals to the MAGA crowd. She's like a known Trump supporter. So you're getting the death of the American culture going up against the rise of the Asian pop culture, and they're gonna clash. But I predict
Helter
that,
Skelter is now.
yeah.
Helter Skelter.
But the Asian pop culture is going to win
No,
out
you
in
got.
the end.
Well, yeah. Will they edit that out?
What?
I just sang Helter Skelter.
No, that's fine. You can
I
say
hope-
that. You
I
can
hope-
you
I
can
hope
do a
not.
little phrase like that. It's not because you're not playing the record.
Okay, so let's move on to Vanessa. Tell me about this quote. Page 2,
Oh yeah. Page 2.
7.
That was Richard was having a discussion with someone on another show, and this was their quote. It said, and I really liked it. It said, "I have had anger management problems all my life. Once a bully tried to pick a fight with me. I looked him in the eye and said, 'If you provoke me into a fight, I will kill you.' He walked away from me without a response. It must have been the way I said it." I think that's a great way to deal with a bully. What do you think?
Well, on one side, that could actually be considered assault because battery is actually contacting somebody, but the threat of that's assault. But at the same time, bullies have a very thin veneer, and if there's any pushback against them, then they fall apart like that.
Yeah. But I just thought that was a great quote because he sent me a bunch of notes.
I can tell you it works.
It was from our rival show. He was sending me some notes from that, and I just found that to be like that really stood out to me. I liked that.
See, we live in, well, it was shown on one of your screens for the show, like a monologue world, and it is. It's like everyone expects
It's a 5 o'clock world.
low o'clock, you know.
It is
you
now.
know,
We start
no,
at 5.
No humor, no emotion, no nothing. You know, and people can just push your buttons as long as they remain low key and uninhibited. And the thing is, though, you get someone who actually is in your face, or someone who just thinks they can push you too far because they can. There will be nothing that'll stop them quicker and get them to leave you alone by looking them right in the eye and saying, "You don't seem to understand the stakes you're playing for. You might think that you have the upper hand indefinitely because of some little yes man position, or your stance, or the fact that you're in my space and no one's telling you to stop. What you don't understand is we really get into it. I'm not going to do this to punch and duke it out. This won't stop until one or the other of us is dead."
Well, that's like the essence of Krav Maga. Krav Maga from the Israelis isn't like Penn and Teller said martial arts are bullshit for a couple of reasons. One is the likelihood of you encountering another martial artist that's your skill level is vanishingly low. Most people you meet won't have any training of it. Second is if you actually use it, you'll be arrested for battery, and you'll have an endorsement for the gravity of what you did. And the Krav Maga, what they teach you is not to kick somebody in the gut. No, to stomp on the side of their knee, or break their arm. Because if your arm is broken, you're not going to give a shit about anything else. Or if your knee is gone, you can't stand up. Try standing on one leg. If you have an amputation of your leg here, it takes 100% more effort just to walk, even with prosthesis. 100% more.
Well,
Richard.
It's like even in a hostage situation, you know, instead of shooting for the head, you go for the brachial nerve, drop the gun, that'll drop them temporarily.
2 center mass, 1 in the head, the Mozambique drill. Richard, what do you have?
But
I
the
see.
brachial nerve, your karma's okay. You ain't whacked anybody.
I sent my notes to my friend Tom.
Uh-huh.
Now, in the same way that Vanessa was inspired when she saw that quote about, you know, when you look in the eye, my friend Tom said, reminds me of a story when my friend came back from Vietnam. He said, hey, let's celebrate and go out to a bar. So they went out to a bar, and they were there and at the bar, and they were talking and everything. And his friend said, I'm going to go to the bathroom. So Tom is sitting there, and he strikes up a conversation with the woman in the bar stool next to him. They're having a fine conversation. Somebody walks over to both of them, and he says, what are you doing talking to my girlfriend? I should kick the shit out of you right now. At the same moment, the Vietnam veteran walks out of the bathroom, and he sees this confrontation, and he notices what's going on. And the Vietnam veteran says to the bully, I would love to fight you instead, and I guarantee you, I will kill you. And the bully apologized and walked away because he saw the look in his eyes that he
Yeah.
meant it.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, med students will say, wow, that patient's really pale. But when you see somebody that really has a hematocrit of 3, they're really pale. And likewise, if you've never seen homicidal ideation, when you see it the first time, it's scary as shit because you really see it. And in fact, when the people get treated and they're doing better, they look different. But somebody who has, like, because when people are looking crazy, do you know why they look crazy? Because you can see the white above their eyes. That's what makes people look crazy. You know, because like wide-eyed, you got to blink a lot, and not blinking is really painful. You know, so it's like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, hey. Yeah, but you got crazy down, buddy. We're all friends in here.
Have you ever done a contest where the person that doesn't blink the longest wins?
No, I've only done the whoever goes to the bathroom first has to buy the next round. Okay, so our next one, Vanessa.
Yeah, that's me.
What about number 8?
Oh, number 8. At times, I think the purpose of social media is to keep working class people fighting each other. Well, yeah. If you think about it, a crap on fascist book, for instance, that's always pitting the magats against the lefties. But most of those people aren't the 1%er, billionaire, oligarch, super rich, and it keeps them fighting amongst each other to prevent revolution.
To prevent revolution or foment it?
Basically,
Prevent. They want the
basically
status
bringing
quo.
on division, playing us.
Yeah,
Divide and
because-
conquer.
They take it from 13 colonies divided we fall.
See, what the Wired Nation is what was said in 1970. Richard Nixon actually said it. He foretold the internet world. You know, it wasn't Al Gore, but the idea was Eisenhower had the interstates, and then we would wire the houses instead of roads to lead to you. There'd be wires that would lead to you. And you know the way 30, 40 years ago you'd hang up the phone and you'd say, that son of a bitch, damn it, I hate his guts. Now the people type that out, put it in a tweet or put it on the Facebook, and it's there forever because once you post it, it's never going away. And that's why your innermost thoughts should stay your innermost thoughts. I mean, the psychiatrists and psychologists will tell you that people are just intrinsically a little bit on the selfish side, not from completely neutral, but a little selfish. But also, I have a completely unscientific and unverified idea that in our minds, we're all insane. We're all crazy. But all the crazy stuff, there's an invisible shield that keeps it from getting out. So all the things we might say we don't. And the people that can't keep it to themselves, you know they're crazy. You know, some people, it's like an action potential and it gets through. And yeah, no, you have to try harder. I mean, because really crazy people, because it's like what's the definition of a fanatic? Somebody who can't change their mind and won't change the subject. and they're just talking to you. But Richard, you know the Canon is better than Minolta. You know that, right? And you're going to say, no, I don't know that. But it is, because, whatever conspiracy theory, and
However, the Rolex is better than Timex.
well, it depends on for what you're considering, because the Timex won't survive being dumped into 1,000 meters of water, whereas the Rolex will. So what do you have, Richard?
Right.
I have a question.
Fire.
So I'll start out with a little parable. All right.
Ooh, are you
So the
are
head
you
of,
Jesus?
the head of a company calls in his office the head of the managers union and the head of the workers union, and he's sitting down with them, and he says, well, the contract is about to expire. We're going to have to negotiate a new one. And just then, his assistant brings in a plate of a dozen donuts and puts it on the table between them. And the CEO of the company, he takes 10 of the donuts and he scoops them up into a box and he puts them on his own desk. And then he looks at the two people and he says, "You each get a donut." And someone said, "Okay, and can I go to the bathroom before we start?" When he goes to the bathroom, the CEO says to the other union representative, "I'd be careful if I were you. He's going to take your donut." Okay. Does social media do that to people by encouraging them to get into these jousting matches with each
Yes.
other?
Yeah.
Well, you may know that I play a game, the Star Trek game, and what that company does, they pit people against each other. They make players do that, and just to progress, you have to fight. It's like Fight Club. If this is your first night, you will fight, and so that's the idea that drama is people in conflict. So that's what they want, and people make their own conflict in social media. That
Do you think it's healthy for their minds?
to a point, but then not. It can go too far. Just like drinking
think
too
it's-
much water, exercising too much, sleeping too much, sleeping not a little. These all have downsides, and showing a little bit, that's okay. But beyond a little bit, I mean, it's like people think about histamine, that because pollen makes their nose run and makes them sneeze. But you normally have a histamine level, if you would, it's about like a 20. You need histamine to stay awake. Antihistamines put you to sleep because there's no irritation keeping you awake. And you need a certain amount of histamine, but too much is not good. Just like too much oxygen is not good. So what the protocols that they have on the social media sites is making people pitted one against the other. And it's tribalistic too, because people that you follow say the stuff that you like to hear. And so then then you like their posts, and it builds up on itself. Because the more that is liked, then you say more of the same stuff.
Moreover, what it does is once it starts dividing people and getting them obsessed with this, it creates rumor mongering. Now you get people can't tell AI posts between normal posts, and then everybody's like, you get people like, well, now they say they're gonna doing this, now they're gonna do all this, now they're gonna go to this religion and these clothes. They say you can't do this, and you can't blink your eyes twice in 2 seconds. You can't do, and now you got everybody fucking paranoid to the point where, you see his message coming to you. They say they're going to do this, and you're just like, oh, Jesus Christ, can't I just get a day away from politics? And it just leads into one thing after another, and it sickens the mind.
In politics is the primary cause of everything being.
Washington is for people too ugly for Hollywood. And so all it is show. It's showmanship. And
Explain Ronald Reagan.
Can't.
well, that was in Doonesbury in the 80s. Said
He was both.
he's just as good a president as he was an actor. And if you ever watched anything from Ronnie Reagan from the 30s, there's a redwood in California that found its relative. I mean,
I liked all his jokes when he was president. He was always telling jokes.
that weren't
He was
funny.
a
They were
jerk.
They were
abusive.
not funny.
They were abusive, and they were demeaning to people. If your joke has to take somebody else down, that's the problem, because he liked. Oh, and I found this out just last year. Nancy Reagan was known. She was a great fellatrice.
Ooh, how delightful.
Yeah, she gave a lot of head, and she was good at
She
it.
swallowed.
Okay, so let's see. Now our next point is let's see. I'm going to ask everyone, which person are you? There are A, B, and C here. So listen. Écoutez, écoutez. That's listen. Écoutez.
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 That's
Écoutez.
cargo.
So which person are you? Person A, which is a good life is a happy life, one with comfort, satisfaction, and more joy than sadness. Person B, a good life is a meaningful life, one grounded by trying to make the world a better place on a smaller, big scale. Or person C, a good life is marked by developing your mind, learning different perspectives, and studying complexity. Wayne.
I'm usually just. I like to, be happy, and I'm always trying to make people laugh.
Oh, so that you're A. Okay,
Yeah.
Tony?
I just like to get peace, some contentment, and share the best of life with everyone.
So that's B. Richard?
B. Although I do drift a lot into C. Like I want to find out what objective reality is. To go
Good
back
luck.
to another topic. I want to
Yeah.
try to guard against my own self-deception.
I gotcha. And Vanessa?
Well, I would have to go with C, but overall, I think I just want to avoid samsara.
So for people like me that don't remember what that is, I've heard the word, but you have to define that.
It's the endless cycle of incarnation, especially into this realm. You want to achieve nirvana and get the fuck out of here.
So you shit your pants deriding people that believe in God, but you believe in that.
Well,
I mean,
that's not a sky daddy.
it's just the same unprovable difference. I mean,
Not really.
yes, really. Yeah,
How
just
so?
because you
explain that.
neither one of them is provable, and they both are something supernatural. So
I can't follow Jason's objection.
No, I follow it.
So in other words,
Of course you do. You're tainted by your religious beliefs.
and if you shit on one, you should shit on the other.
well, when Vanessa says, I want to escape samsara, which is delusion, that's where you get wrapped up in the world and you don't realize there's bigger issues. That's her principle of living. Whereas if someone says there's a second reality where these invisible creatures live, see, that's more of a physical and metaphysical claim.
But what did you say, Nirvana?
Nirvana is when you get out of this cycle.
Yeah,
of
and that's
delusion.
Enlightenment. That's when you
Or
can
enlightenment.
escape.
That's what you said. Yeah,
Yeah.
that when you're MF and everybody else, you're not going to find enlightenment. I'm just saying.
There's different paths.
Well, okay, fair enough. So, hey, Tony, tell me about classism and the separation of class.
You didn't
Okay,
ask me
well-
what type I was.
Oh, we didn't ask you what you were. Oh, yeah. We
Oh,
got,
sorry,
don't
Sal.
forget Sal.
I out of sight, out of mind.
Okay, so basically I'm kind of similar to Richard in that I'm B, but I do try to listen to different people to see what truth I can find in it.
And-
But because I'm as old as I am, I think I've already been through a lot of life experiences, and I think I found what I'm looking for, but maybe not as much as I possibly could.
U2 is calling. They want their song back.
yeah.
By the way, I like your glasses, buddy.
Thank you.
Well, what's the
Based
thing
on-
that I find out the more I meet people? Most of them don't have anything good to say. That either they're repeating things I already know or it's inconsequential.
You're not green.
What?
I said, you're not green. There.
That's because gamma rays don't turn you into the Hulk. So
Yeah,
you
they just
can't-
make your skin melt off and you die in horrible pain.
Like what? Like the listener or the viewer.
Okay, so now tell us about classism.
Well, what I woke up to yesterday was another post on Facebook. Some young blonde model died at 36 and everything, and my response to it was, and do you have any idea how many blue collar workers died this month and they never get so much as a footnote? And some woman fired back at me, well, that must come from a very dark place, that's cynicism. You must be really angry. You must be this. You must be that. I said, no. I said, what I am is tired of seeing the elite, the famous, the spoiled, the privileged, and the moneyed people get all the adulation, get all the validation, and, we all have to stop our world to have a case of the weepies for them every time they kick the bucket. Meanwhile, one of my friends just lost their brother. Another one of them lost their nephew. They're not out there, asking the world to stop and cry for them, So it's like, at everything, from the moment these privileged people are born to the moment they kick the bucket, it's all like a whole new world up in the silver towers.
Well, I see something different there, because you said this blonde model. That's just genetics. And so we ascribe, not me personally, but we ascribe, if you're better looking, you're more reliable, you're smarter, even if you're not, you're better genes. And that's different from the classism, because if I had $1 billion, of course I would have a house staff. Of course I would have people making my food. Of course I would hire young women to be my assistants. Of course I would do that. Why wouldn't I? That's taking advantage of the system.
I got that, but the thing is, what I'm saying is, the rest of us don't all need to hear about it all the time.
Well,
I think it has to do with if you're in a popular demographic.
Take your billions, enjoy it. Just stay out of my fucking face and my path. I don't want to hear about you on this or anyone else.
Care about your friends and have something to say for your friends that lost people they loved.
Hey, let's address the fact that they're popular demographics, especially in America, like Caucasian, blonde, young woman. They're going to care about that more than anything else here.
Well, the
You
missing
know
white
that.
woman syndrome, that has a page on TV tropes. Missing white woman, that you can have 10 black women that are missing, but, the missing white woman, and it's extra points if she's blonde. Mm-hmm. That's what makes for TV. I mean, that's the classism, because when you're the majority culture, that's what you are. Like 93% of Chinese are Han Chinese now. You've heard of Manchus and you've heard of Mongols, and what are the other two groups? But the Han have overtaken it. And so that's the way it is. And anything that's not Han Chinese, of 93, if you took one person out of 7 on Earth, one would be Chinese. I mean, that's incredible. Because otherwise spreading it out is remarkable, because 13 out of 14 Chinese are Han. And when you're the culture, everything else is a subculture. Mm-hmm. And in the U.S., that's the change. That the reason why the maggots are like they are is because the white male is realizing that his position, he's losing allure. He's losing his position, and he's going to be outsconced, because that one of the problems of you can do it. You can parallel Canada with the U.S. In Canada, the Quebecois have bitched and complained forever, but they're being pushed out by the Chinese from the west side. They've complained and done nothing, and now the Chinese are taking over as the subculture. And in the U.S., it's unfortunate, but the African-American folks have not had a good political grouping. They're not together, and the Hispanics have a much more unified front. And the Hispanics...
You really think so? There's a whole bunch of MAGA Hispanics, especially like the
not a whole bunch.
Cubans in Florida,
Yeah,
and they're totally against the people who would oppose the ICE agents from the same from
In
But
South
there's still
Florida.
a good, healthy contingent of those who stand up for the culture against the oppression and the privation. I think that's what you meant.
Well,
Or,
but what I mean, I'm thinking more like the California people, and because the people that are in the West that speak Spanish are Central American and Mexican, versus in Florida they're from the Caribbean or they're from South America, like Venezuela and Colombia. Because even among the Cubans, they differentiate between white and black Cubans, and the white Cubans look down on the black Cubans. Then again, that happens in India too. That the darker you are, the more you look down on.
that seems to be a universal thing across all cultures, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but,
I'm not saying it's equitable.
Yeah, but it is
at
a
all.
thing.
But that's why using and when you don't have a unified front, because you can't be a millionaire guy like Leroy Jones, Abibu Bakila, and complaining that you need reparations. Because I couldn't go to Harvard.
yeah.
So if you went to Harvard and you got a graduate degree from Harvard, how have you been kept down by the man? You are the man.
Barron Trump couldn't go either.
What?
Barron Trump. That's why Donald Trump is pissed off at Harvard. They wouldn't let Barron Trump in.
Do you have any proof of that?
Yeah, I can find it. I can't spin it up right now. We need a slide.
But I still I think about the instructor from Penn, from the Wharton School, who said that Donald Trump was the dumbest goddamn student I ever had.
Nice.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I've never known anybody to have their degree revoked, but that was why the talk was, like in 2016, that he cheated his way in. Somebody else took his SAT, they said, and then that could be grounds to revoke his 1968 degree or 70. Corporal bone spurs. That
Corporal bones.
and but that's that. Okay, so I don't miss a chance because the guy is execrable. I love the word execrable because it sounds just like what it means. He's an execrable piece of shit. He stinks like shit. If Trump was here, you'd need a gas mask.
no, yeah, he shits his diaper all the time.
Yeah, he stinks like shit. And
That matches his inner state. His outer state is matching.
well, he's a creepy pedophile
Yeah,
who's
he
a
is.
criminal.
He's a
and,
creepy pedophile. Not only does he screw like young women and molest women of age, he likes to screw little boys too.
Wait, where'd you get that?
You never didn't see that shit?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know
Well-
what proof is, but it wouldn't surprise me.
What was the quote from Louisiana Politics? The only thing that could stop me now is they found me in bed with a dead girl or a live boy.
Yeah, be careful about saying certain things because if it's not true, there could be problems.
Well, also though, it was said in one court when that Donald Trump is the most litigious person in U.S. history. He is the one who's filed more suits, and a whole bunch of he's been called a vexatious litigant in a couple of courts, but that's somebody who can't file another suit because they're filing bogus suits all the time. Like guys in prison become vexatious litigants because they're suing because they didn't get 25 M&Ms because they got 23 M&Ms. Stuff that's trivial like that. And that there's a point you can get when you can't be insulted anymore. You can't be thought of as any worse. Like if
I've reached that
you're Juan
point.
Corona or you're Charles Manson, people can't think anything worse about you,
Charles
You said
Manson.
Juan
Charles
Corona?
Manson is a great musician, though. He had great songs like Garbage Dump. Look at Your Game Girl. I have a lot of respect for him. Plus, after he was in prison, he started this movement, Air, Trees, Water, something or other. It was like this environmental movement. So there's a lot of stuff about Charles Manson people don't know. And also, whenever he had parole hearings, he said all kinds of profound things. I think, Tony, you probably know about this stuff.
Agreed there. Whereas Juan Corona, I don't know if anyone ever heard from him again after he was locked up.
Well, Juan Corona, if you don't know, he killed 25 other migrant workers in California in the 70s. And believe it or not, after his conviction on 25 counts of murder, he appealed on account of inadequate counsel. Well, no kidding. 25 murder convictions, your lawyer couldn't have been that good. And so that's why I say, I've always said after I had to testify in a case, do not use the public defender. Get your own lawyer, whatever you can do. Because there was, if you want to get the needle in the U.S., be black, be a male, and be in Texas, and you will get the needle. inequitably, and that's why I oppose the death penalty, because it's inequitably applied.
Yeah.
If you paint with a broad brush, that would be better. But if you're a let's see, the only woman I can think of right off the top of my head is Aileen Wuornos, who she killed 9 men. That was in the 2003 movie with Charlize
Monster.
Theron. Yeah, Monster, where she wore no makeup because Aileen Wuornos was a prostitute that killed 9 guys and said every single one of them was trying to rape her. So it was self-defense 9 times.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. I mean, I'm a white male. I'm not a white female, so I've never had to kill anybody even once.
So you said no one ever raped you?
What?
What are you saying? No one ever raped you?
Yeah, that's true. Fortunately, I've never been sexually assaulted, because that sucks, and it happens to guys too. So, but that's too heavy
Yeah,
for
tell me
our
about it.
podcast. So, speaking of,
Heavy.
yeah, but last point, Vanessa. What about the Pride crosswalk?
Oh, did you see this thing? It's fascist wannabe Trump dictator
Put it up.
governor Ron DeSantis in Florida. He was sort of goaded by Trump to go along with this, but he also wanted to do it himself. See this crosswalk? In the middle of the night, he had the colors painted out. There's a crosswalk near that Pulse nightclub in Florida where like 29 people were killed, and they had the crosswalk near it painted like this.
Is that where this is?
This might be one. There's a couple of them. There's multiple ones in Florida that they did this to, and that's one of them. But after they painted it black again, a bunch of the residents came out with chalk, and they colored it in again by hand, and they keep doing that.
Well, you know, it's voting against public interest, because Dick Cheney stopped mouthing off about GLBT topics because his daughter is lesbian, Liz's sister. Mm-hmm. So when you have somebody in your family, your perspective changes. And if Barron turned out to like boys, I wonder if Dumb Donnie would change his tune.
Well, when it comes to Dick Cheney,
I
anyone
don't
who can't
know why
go
they-
hunting without actually shooting his hunting partner has no call to speak up about anything.
Barron looks like a future twink. That's probably going to happen.
He's 6'8". He's 6'6" or 6'8".
Doesn't look it.
He towers over everybody. Then again,
Then I can join the WNBA.
it's boring enough. I got to be honest. I like the change towards more women's sports, but at the same time, the women the WNHA
WNBA?
No.
Or the WNHA. Huh. Okay.
hockey.
Oh.
It's a non-checking league, and so that's why there being no contact. But the WNBA games, I just don't. I can't get into basketball in the first place, and so the women's games just il ne marche pas pour moi.
You're the reason the Braves left Buffalo and became the Los Angeles Clippers.
And then the San Diego Clippers.
I think it was San Diego first, then Los Angeles, right? 'Cause
Yes.
they're Los
Yeah.
Angeles now, yeah.
Yeah, they were the but Bob McAdoo, woo! So, all right. Do you have anything, Wayne, that you want to say that's burning you up that you gotta?
Are you burning hot?
Oh,
One,
go ahead.
one of the things that I've come across constantly, because, as you know, I'm constantly on the road driving, is all these people that are driving like crazy and they're cutting people off. And, I mean, every time I get on the thruway, I put on cruise control. You know, I mean, why can't everybody else do the same thing? But everyone's in such a damn hurry.
Well, we're fortunate that Buffalo is a 20-minute city, but also everybody thinks they're above average, and 50% of people out there driving are below average by definition, and nobody will admit they're not a good driver. And why are they hurrying? Who knows? But you know, I've said it's not deer, it's not bad roads, it's not snow, it's not rain. The worst thing on the roads is other people. Yep. And so, and there's nothing that pisses you off more, something that's not your fault. like a drunk driver hitting you. You're like, what? I wasn't doing anything. You know, they hit me. You know, and that's the thing that bugs
And then
you.
your insurance goes up and everything.
Takes
And,
a long time to build that.
I have one last story. I think I've told it before. When I was in South Carolina, there was one hospital that could give you the bill right there in the emergency department, and there was a lot of illegal folks that were fruit pickers and vegetable pickers that were in South Carolina, and they would. First of all, I said, who puts the commercial on Univision at 2 a.m.? Said, ahora es muy importante por una cita a la sala de emergencia este minuto. At 2 in the morning, you have to bring your kids to the emergency department right now. But they could get the bill, and they would start peeling hundreds and 20s off the roll because they would think it go collections, immigration, deportation.
Comment from Sasha.
Grassley. Who's
Oh,
Grassley?
Chuck Grassley is a senator from Nebraska, is he, or Oklahoma? No.
Okay, I was
But
right.
but Christine Blasey Ford, wasn't that the one that said Kavanaugh was? She was Kavanaugh's accuser.
Kavanaugh's a piece of shit.
Everybody's a piece of shit,
That's true. If they're a politician, they tend
or
to
not.
If we all got
No,
what we
okay,
deserve,
okay.
everyone in the whole world would be dead.
Do you know why they have to put rubber bands on the lobster claws that you see in the tanks in the supermarkets?
It's the will of God.
Said this already. I can't remember what you said.
No,
We only have 5 fingers. We're not planning on eating them.
no. It's because if you leave them, they're solitary creatures. We put them together, they will fight and they will rip off the claws until one is left with one claw, or one really kicks ass and still has 2 claws, but every other one is defenseless and will die now because they can't fend for themselves.
Okay.
That's why, and that's why people, everybody's a piece of shit in some regard. Whether it's the disdain we have for others and we don't say it, talk about it, or the way we treat people, or the way we scream out what is our only thoughts, even if it offends others. It's about being offended by stuff that shouldn't offend you. It's about not letting it run off your back, or letting it run off your back instead of taking it to heart. Because you can't offend me without my permission. And that goes to that goes back to the bully. That you can't bully somebody without letting them do it. And I watched the movie again, Heaven Help Us, from 1985, which was about Catholic schools in Brooklyn in 1965. And the one character says, if we don't become friends, I have to beat you up every time I see you. And so, Richard.
Sal, do you agree with that from a theological perspective, that everyone is a piece of shit in some regard?
Either they currently are or they had been at some point in their life.
All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God.
That's
Yes.
right. That's why they need to be saved by Jesus.
It's like somebody releasing the clutch and, just stalling the engine.
Jesus, El Savior Christ.
Hebus.
Okay, so we have
Nice
10
meeting you,
seconds
Tony.
left. And so I want to thank everybody for coming out, for talking, for not losing your shit, which is a New Yorkism. And
not
hope you have a
Like
great
Trump
weekend.
does in his diaper.